Hey y'all, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel and this review of, if you remember back in earlier this year, what is my most anticipated film of 2025, and that of course is One Battle After Another, written, directed by the legendary auteur Paul Thomas Anderson, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Sean Penn, Benicio del Toro, Regina Hall, Tiana Taylor, and Chase Infinity. And this follows a group of revolutionaries known as the French 75 as they interrogate internment camps, and basically the movie starts out with them and the conflict that begins with Captain Stephen Lockjaw, played by Sean Penn, and we fast forward 16 or so years later, where now Leonardo DiCaprio, who plays Bob Ferguson, is living with his daughter, Willa, played by Chase Infinity, and basically how in the midst of this new life that they have created for themselves, Lockjaw comes back in and threatens to take it all away. That's really all the setup I'm going to give you for this movie, because I think that this is one that really has to be experienced. I say that all the time, but really, it's a Paul Thomas Anderson film. Like, what do you expect? You know that this is going to be so epic in scope. And, of course, I mean, you've been hearing the reviews. Everybody's been saying this is a masterpiece of cinema, one of the best movies of the decade, one of this generation's defining films. And to that, I will get into my thoughts on all of that. But I will say, there was a lot to take in on the first viewing that I'm still thinking about to this day, and I wouldn't say that immediately off the bat I felt that way, but still, I mean, this is so undeniably terrific. The filmmaking here is absolutely unbelievable, and it's not like it's super showy either. It's just so well directed and also so innovative in so many scenes, especially the way that Paul Thomas Anderson kind of orchestrates a lot of these scenes and really strings them together in ways that I can't even believe are possible. Like, there's a whole sequence in the middle of this movie that is so hard to, kind of put everything together and, sustain the tension throughout and make all these moving pieces fit together in such a succinct way. I mean, the filmmaking here is unbelievable. Obviously, the movie was shot on VistaVision, and Paul Thomas Anderson really makes the most out of the utilization of that technology, because you get every single detail in that frame. And it's unlike The Brutalist, where that really felt like, oh, we're, getting swept up in this, massive epic. I mean, this is definitely an epic in and of itself, but I think the difference is it's more of how the frame is utilized as opposed to, look at how picturesque these images are. But even with that being said, there's so much innovation in the way the camera is utilized, especially in one sequence, which we might get into later. But yeah, I think that this really is one of his finest films as a director. I feel quite vindicated for putting it as my most anticipated movie of the year after hearing all the glowing reactions from it. But let's talk about the cast here, because this is one of the absolute best ensemble casts of the entire year. I mean, you have, I'd say, two of the greatest actors of all time in this movie. One I will get into right away. Leonardo DiCaprio is Bob here. I really do think that this is up there with some of his best work, probably his best performance since Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I really think this is kind of somewhere in between Wolf of Wall Street and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood in regards to, the comedy of his character. But I really like this whole arc of Leo playing these, like, schlubby types of dudes, because he's the stoner dad, really kind of a bit of a deadbeat in a way. You can see that he has changed a lot from his revolutionary days, and I think DiCaprio conveys that so convincingly, and also just has so many great moments where he gets to shine his comedic instincts, especially in one sequence on the phone. You all know what I'm talking about. It's one of the best scenes of the entire year, and I think he's absolutely coming for another Oscar nomination, especially if this is the Best Picture frontrunner. I mean, let's be honest, right? And I just think DiCaprio gets to chew on every single thing that is given to him in this film, and I absolutely loved his work. I mean, say what you will, but I really do think it's hard to deny that he's one of the greatest talents that this generation has seen, and really, really glad to see his work here. We got to talk about Tiana Taylor as Perfidia Beverly Hills, who plays the girlfriend of Leonardo DiCaprio's character Bob, and the mother of Willa in the story, and she really is only in the first section of the film, but she leaves a tremendous impact. Like, even though I was thinking to myself, I'm like, would I nominate her for an Oscar for this performance based on what she was able to do on screen? But really, if there's one character that I can't stop thinking about ever since I left the movie, it's honestly her. And I just think that she gets so much to do with her limited screen time, and really is the presence looming over this entire narrative. And I really do think that her character is the key to understanding a lot about this movie, and I just think, you know, especially after seeing 1001, which I still say is probably her best performance, you know, really, really slightly underlooked movie when it came out a couple of years ago, but she continues to prove that she's here to stay, and I think that she absolutely could be coming for her first Oscar nomination, and I wouldn't be upset about that at all. I think it is quite warranted. Definitely the writing helps, but she definitely really makes the most of what she's got. And then, of course, we got to talk about Chase Infinity is Willa, the daughter of these two. And I've never seen her before. I know she was on a TV show on Apple TV Plus, but really, I think that she's a great presence. I think that we're going to be seeing her for some time. I'd really be interested to see what other roles she has to offer. I will say right off the bat, one of the criticisms that I do have with this movie, and maybe this will alleviate itself on rewatch, I'm not sure, but I would have loved to get more from her character, because I felt, as opposed to a lot of the other characters that we get to know in this narrative, there's a little less substance with her, but I think she definitely makes the most of it. She has to go through some pretty insane scenarios in this movie, to say the least, and I really think she delivers 100%. We'll see what the future holds in store for Miss Chase Infinity there. Benicio del Toro, in the section that he is on screen, is absolute dynamite. I mean, honestly, if he got a supporting actor nomination, I wouldn't be upset about that at all. I think he's better in this than the movie he won the Oscar for, so if that tells you anything. But he's just so cool, calm, collected, funny, in the midst of all this chaos happening around him, especially with the force of nature that is Bob, DiCaprio's character. I think he is like the anchor, the calm in the center of the storm, if you will, and I just think, yet again, everybody makes so much out of the screen time that they have here. Regina Hall is another one who's really, really great, even though I feel like her character is another one who doesn't really get a whole lot to do in regards to actual character development, and I really wish that maybe there was a little bit more for her and that we could see. But honestly, like, I think that this is one of the best performances I've ever seen from her. I mean, it makes sense. She's in a PTA movie. I'm used to just seeing her in comedies, so seeing her dramatic chops in this was very, very impressive to me. And then, of course, I'm trying to think who else I have to talk about. Yeah, okay. I think I know who I have to just jump into right away, and that is Sean Penn as Stephen Lockjaw here, the villain of the story, the terrifying buffoon at the center of this movie. And look, I mean, I've been saying this for such a long time. Say what you will about the man, but I really think Sean Penn is one of the greatest actors in history. And, I mean, he has 2 Academy Awards to his name already, so he's obviously very acclaimed within the industry, and I think most people who are familiar with Sean Penn's work would agree with that. But he really hasn't been on the screen in a very, very long time, and I really think that I don't know what he's been doing besides, you know, helping out Zelensky in the past decade or so, but here he is in this movie. And Okay, so this is the thing. So the whole movie, another thing on my first initial viewing was I was trying to get on the wavelength of this performance, because he is so cartoony and over the top. And I don't necessarily mean that as, you know, a slight against his performance, not at all, but it does feel like a little out of step, at least because I was like focusing on him compared to everybody else and how they were acting in the story. But like, this is one of the most brilliantly conceived characters I've seen in a movie in a very long time. Just all, like, his walk is going to become iconic. It is absolutely insane. His mannerisms, like, there's one scene where he's at this, like, meeting, and just the facial tics, like, his eyes, everything about him in this movie. I'm like, this is some of the most mesmerizing acting I have seen all year. It's just, he's such a cartoon character that I was trying to figure out the whole movie how I felt about it. But now, understanding the movie's farcical tone a bit more, I really think next time I'm going to lock into this performance, so pun intended, of course, because I really think that Penn is just absolutely off the chain in this movie. And don't be surprised, guys, if he wins his third Oscar for this, because I feel like this is, not only is this the front runner for Best Picture, but I feel like everybody's talking about this performance. Yet again, I still have to review it, but Paul Mescal in Hamnet, I would pick to win. I don't know if he's running lead or supporting, though. But, I mean, if he's not in that category, just give Sean Penn the Oscar, man. Because I really think this is going to become one of the most iconic movie villains. Just because Penn's performance is so inspired. And honestly, the more I think about it, yeah, he pretty much is the standout in this movie, even above DiCaprio, I'd say. So, really great to see Sean Penn back in a movie this good, honestly, because it's been a long time, and I'm always down to see exactly what Sean Penn can give us. He was also really great in Daddy-O, by the way. I forgot about that one. Very under the radar last year. But, yeah, this is absolutely a tour de force if I've ever seen one. But yet again, amidst all the great filmmaking and all the great acting, the story itself is what a lot of people have been talking about, because people have been saying that this is the film for our generation. And even though I might at the moment not love this as much as everyone else, yeah, I kind of have to agree. I can't believe that this came out when it did, especially with everything going on with ICE. It really does feel like this movie captures a complete portrait of our times in a very dark and harrowing way. But it never feels like it's hitting you over the head with a message. It's just showing you things as they are. It's the backdrop to the story, but it never loses focus on the characters and the conflict that is happening more, directly with these characters in this narrative. And so I think, though, a lot of the most powerful scenes in the movie are the ones that really hauntingly reflect our reality and our country in a way that I don't think any other movie this year will. I mean, that is just a fact. I really think that Paul Thomas Anderson happened to hit the button at the right moment in a way that I think will stand the test of time, like all the great political thrillers, like All the President's Men, or The Conversation, for instance. I feel like this definitely kind of falls in this category, even though it's nothing like those movies at all. I'd say it's more like The French Connection on crack, like I said in my out-of-theater reaction, because, I mean, really, this puts Friedkin to shame. I'm sorry, I mean, okay, I gotta talk about it, because there is a car chase sequence, and if you've seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. That's just one of the most mesmerizing, jaw-dropping, and innovative sequences I have ever seen. I mean, it is easily, automatically, one of the all-time great movie car chases, because even after all this time, nobody has been able to shoot a car chase like this. And it is just absolutely breathtaking and enthralling. And yet again, it's so simple in its execution, but it absolutely leaves you awestruck regardless, because the filmmaking is just so good. And man, I can't stop thinking about this movie, especially considering, what it has to say about, how these revolutionary ideas get passed from generation to generation. I mean, like the title says, one battle after the next. It's just going to keep continuing on. And I also love how farcical this is. I think that was another thing, the comedy. I'm like, should this be a little bit darker? But I'm like, no, because I think the way it portrays the racist, villainous characters in this movie is very lock and step with what we see now. And also just the fact that a lot of these guys are just dumb buffoons. I mean, that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And so I think that this movie perfectly captures that tone. And also, this is one of the funniest movies of the year. I mean, I'd consider this a comedy just as much as I'd consider it a thriller, because there are so many laugh out loud lines and jokes. I mean, there is a character named Jungle Pussy. Like, I don't even understand, but somehow you take this movie seriously, and I really think that is such a testament to the writing and how strong it is, and also just the balance of tone that Paul Thomas Anderson finds between the lightness and the dark elements of the story just kind of converge more seamlessly the more I think about it. And I seriously love how this is all portrayed, and what hope that this movie has to offer in regards to what the next generation in this country can bring, and maybe make it a better place to live. It really is just so thrilling. I'd say mainly unpredictable. There's a couple of things that I was able to predict. I don't know if I was supposed to predict them, if it wasn't supposed to be this big thing. So there's just like a couple of things that hold this back from me from being my favorite movie of the year, we'll say. But look, I think there's so much to admire about here. The editing, oh my goodness. Because even though I think there could be more scenes elaborating on some of the dynamics in the story, this movie feels so efficient in the edit. I mean, this is so tightly paced. It's so perfectly cut together. I really think that this is some of the finest editing you'll see all year. Of course, I'll get in this when I post my next review, which is No Other Choice, which I think is one of the best edited movies of all time. But I think that this probably will end up winning the Oscar just because, I mean, this is, going to be an Oscar juggernaut, like I've said many times already in this review. But it just feels like everything that Paul Thomas Anderson wanted to throw on the screen is on the screen in one battle after another. Which is why, the more I think about this, the more I just say to myself, hey, I mean, what can I really say about it? I also have to shout out the Johnny Greenwood score, which is absolutely incredible. Very, very percussive, very piano-driven. There's some great motifs in there as well, and it's really propulsive in how it drives the story along and how it reflects all the characters and the energy of the story itself. And look, I mean, I personally would say that my favorite score of the year is Alexandre Desplat's score for Frankenstein. I'll also get in that movie fairly soon. But look, as a big Radiohead fan, if Johnny Greenwood wins the Oscar for this, I am going to be so happy to finally see that, because this guy is one of the most talented musicians on the face of the planet. I think everybody kind of knows that at this point. But this is one of his absolute best film scores, and I'm really glad to see that it just is so integral to how this movie functions and how it moves and how it's paced. I mean, it's really just incredible work from everybody across the board, and that's why I think if I do rewatch this again, this could go up for me, because yet again, I know I'm slightly in the minority on this movie because I do love it. It's just there's a couple things I wish could have had more depth or elaboration. But hey, maybe, when I watch it again, I'm going to be picking up on little nuances from the writing and the performances that really inform this narrative. And also the needle drops are amazing as well. One of the best soundtracks of the year. And I think especially that the needle drop that this movie ends on couldn't have been a better way to finish the story off and really indicate a lot of what the movie is going for thematically. I think everyone is going to agree that this is going to be a movie that stands the test of time. Like I said, this is going to win Best Picture. It just is. He's finally going to get his Oscar, because if there's any director that's overdue for an Oscar, it's Paul Thomas Anderson. I mean, this guy has been making some of the best movies of all time routinely since the 1990s. So I think it's about time we finally award him. It's probably going to win Picture Director, Adapted Screenplay, probably Best Supporting Actor, Editing, maybe Cinematography. I don't know. It is pretty innovative, but I think, I mean, just for that one shot alone in Sinners, who's to say that couldn't win? There's just so much about this that is going to absolutely resonate with everybody across the board, especially in the Academy. It's going to be a classic movie. I'd say, even if I, right now, at the present moment, don't love it to that level as much as everyone else. But, hey man, it's really undeniably one of the best movies of the year, and one of Paul Thomas Anderson's absolute best. I mean, yet again, would I put this on the level of There Will Be Blood? I'm not sure about that, really, but at the same time, I just think that this is so well done from start to finish, and I'm going to give One Battle After Another a 9 out of 10. Yet again, this could go up, but as it stands, this is how I feel about the movie, and maybe I can give you guys an update of whether this ends up being like my favorite or second favorite movie of the year. Of course, you'll see when I post my year-end list where it eventually falls in the midst of all the movies that have been coming out in 2025. But this really is turning into such a miraculous year for film, and I think, you know, the ball has just started rolling. I mean, we got the festivals basically out of the way, and we're just waiting on a few more heavy hitters, but even then, who knows how heavy those films will actually hit. So we'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, let me know what you thought about One Battle After Another. Is it one of your favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movies? And please smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you want to see more reviews like this one, especially because my next review, like I said earlier, is going to be Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice. I cannot wait to get into that movie with you, and so much more. So you guys, take it easy, and until the next one, I'll talk to you soon.
I'm a fool to do your dirty work, oh yeah.